January, I was sitting at work minding my own business when I had the thought, I want to create a boat out of recycled materials. And at the time I had access to a lot of 2-liter bottles. So I was like, perfect, let's line these up. Let's figure out how many we would need. And I came to the conclusion that I would need 3 rows deep to make my boat with about 6 to 7 bottles wide, which would be roughly 366 bottles. For part 1, the test, you need 4 bags of recycled materials, which is roughly about 50 bottles, which is what I had collected at the time. I do want to make one that has 366 bottles still, but I also wanted to test this out to see how it would work. So I'm just going to line up my bottles, and in my original design, I wanted them to be about 6 bottles wide. So this is actually going to be more like a kayak than an actual boat, but we're just testing it to see if this will even work. For the first part of this design, I'm going to lay the bottles, the tops of the bottles together, and then the bottom of the bottle to the bottom of the bottle, and then top and top. And we're just going to repeat this process over and over again. Once I have everything lined up, I'm going to use some normal packing tape. Originally, I had found online this really cool brand that has eco packing tape, and I had written to them to ask them about it, but their packing tape was literally 10 times the cost of just normal packing tape that you get from Amazon, and they also didn't write me back, so that was kind of a bummer. But I did try and find a sustainable option prior to using the regular option, but you know, sometimes it is what it is. So I'm going to take my packing tape and I'm just going to go back and forth across the rows. And I will say, after doing this a couple times, I realized this is not the easiest method. The easiest method is actually to tape 1 row at a time to itself and then just line all the rows up together, because that way you could spin the bottles around, whereas I have to like keep walking back and forth, and it just definitely was not the easiest way to go. So for my original design, I had wanted to just use 2-liter bottles, but because of the current situation we're in, I kind of had to use what was available. So that's why I am putting the bottles that are misshapen and don't actually match on the ends of the raft. But what I actually found is that because these had handles, they made it super easy to carry, and I do not regret using them one bit. So for the second row, I'm lining the bottles up in the opposite direction across. I haven't decided if this is actually what I want to do for the final version or not, but I figured we would give it a try for this one. So I'm just going to line up the remaining bottles all the way across to make kind of like a seat area. Maybe, kind of, sort of. In my dream scenario, this would be 3 levels deep, so like we'll see what happens in the future, but for now, this is what we did. So after confirming that I had enough bottles to go across, I'm then just gonna line them all up and tape them together to themselves prior to taping them to the first level of the raft. That way it would be easier to tape together. And then for the final touch, no SS FireQuackers would be complete without a duck, of course. So this is a huge rubber ducky that's actually super heavy that I got at a yard sale for $1, and I was like, this duck is going on an adventure. So I'm just taping him down. Luckily he does float in case he happens to fall off.
It's harder with this to walk.
And now what are you doing? It's got these handles and we're carrying it down for the inaugural launch of the SS FireQuackers. Funny. The maiden voyage of the SS Quackers. Hey, my bad. SS FireQuackers. All right, she's going in to entrapment water. Oh Lord. Shouldn't you maybe just try it with just the duck?
Oh my god, it's so cold. Yeah, push me off. Oh my god, I think you noted that it does float, but I cannot get out. Oh my god, it's so cold.
Okay, confused why you built a float out of garbage.
I would like it noted that this totally works. I am completely soaked and freezing, but this definitely works. Maybe I should have written it like that.